Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Purpose Maker. It's Dr. Wegman. Purpose Maker is a midlife wisdom and leadership podcast. And today my guest is a very interesting lady that I'm going to have a wonderful conversation with. This is Grace McCaskill. I'll give you a little introduction to her, and then we're going to dig into her life and some of the projects she's working on. And right now, Mary Grace is the executive director of Ann's Nest. So the title of this podcast is Building a Nest. So you kind of see the play on words there. It's a nonprofit creating dignified, community-focused housing for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Emmet and Charlevoix County. She has over 20 years of experience in the nonprofit, leadership, fundraising, and community development. She was brought on by Ann's Nest founders to help bring their vision to life. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
This is going to be a fun one.
It
All
is.
right. So one of the things that I love to learn about people is who they are, right? Where you came from, where you were born. So let's start there. Where were you born first?
First?
I was born, At the beginning,
I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Ooh.
Yes.
Tell me a little about that town.
Well, I don't know. I lived there till I was about 8, and then my family moved away, and then I lived in Mississippi, and then I moved to St. Louis, Missouri, and that's where I grew up for high school. And then I moved to Alabama for college.
Southern girl. Where do you go to college?
So if you had a Southern accent, I would have a Southern accent right now. I'm an accent chameleon. It changes depending on who I'm talking to. So I can turn it off and on.
You say y'all a lot.
Of course, but only when I go down south to a restaurant, and then my kids are like, "Mom, you have your Southern on." I'm like, "Well, you have to."
I was raised here. Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. But so my family has moved around a lot, and I went after college in Alabama. I worked for a magazine for a couple years, and then I moved to Germany, and I lived over there. I actually studied German in high school and in college. So
remember,
I speak
Guten
German.
Tag.
Guten Tag. Yeah.
You know my last name is German, right? Did you see it? Two N's on it?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Have you been over there?
I have not been there. I've been to Europe, but not to Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know where your family's from?
So the long answer or short answer to that is yes, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
Like I've got the family crest and kind of all that stuff. And it's kind of 50-50. The other half is Italian.
Okay.
It's German and Italian.
Very different culturally.
Very different cultures.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I lived in Germany for a while, and I was actually over there in during 9/11. And I was in journalism, and I was reading newspapers all the time. And I wrote for a local newspaper, and I did some internships. And I just found myself thinking, like, the world is falling apart, and I'm just reading and writing about it. And that was really and I'd always wanted to be a writer and have a purpose to my life, but I really started thinking that I wanted to do something purposeful. And that's when I shifted from just communications to wanting to work for nonprofits. So I really wanted to do international development or nonprofit work. And after my Fulbright in Germany, I came back to the States and was living at my parents' house. I was in my mid-20s, and I was applying for jobs, and I couldn't find anything. And this couple came up to me one time at my parents' church and said, "Do you want to go to India with us?" And I was like, "Well, sure." And the woman said, "I never ask anybody to go with us because most people can't handle it because it's very intense to live over there." Yeah. India has everything. It has super wealthy and super poor. It has super incredibly well-educated.
You're talking like slums poor.
Slums like poor.
Poor that we don't understand well here.
Right. Yeah. And wealth that we don't understand. I mean, it has from horrible education where no one knows how to read to some of the most brilliant minds in the world. They all live in India. It's a huge dichotomy of resources.
Isn't India like 50% of the world's population too? Isn't it huge?
I don't know. I keep saying that China's the biggest country in the world, and my 13-year-old is like, "Mom, no, India surpassed China. You got to get out of the 90s. That's what you learned in school. And we're learning that India is bigger." So
changed.
So anyway, I was over there for a couple years and working with a disability organization. And we helped people who had post-polio, who had intellectual disorders, disabilities.
Yep.
And getting them the services that they needed. And I was doing some fundraising, some programming, outreach, that kind of communications. And then I studied in grad school in Vermont, and a lot of my work was about disabilities. In India, I traveled all over Delhi, and I kind of and did a survey of what disability organizations were available in India. There's not a ton, but trying to understand the landscape over there. So then I moved to Michigan, and that was like, I was like, okay, I just put on a wheelchair drive and had, a big conference in India for 800 delegates with Johnny Erickson Tata. And I was distributing wheelchairs with this organization. And now I'm in the middle of nowhere. And I have all this experience with Indian disability rights, and I don't have anywhere to use it. So what am I going to do? So I ended up working at the Crooked Tree Art Center at their front desk with my master's degree and my years of experience in Germany and India. And it was humbling, but it was a great experience because I got to get involved in the nonprofit sector here. And there's just beautiful and amazing people in Petoskey, and I met a lot of them and got engaged with them. And that's where I started freelance writing for some of the nonprofits up here and the community foundations, and really enjoyed that. And I did that for many years. And then, excuse me. And then I worked at the hospital, the McLaren, at their foundation, and we raised money to build the new hospital wing. And I did a lot of the communications for that and had a wonderful time, great mentors, great leadership over there, learned so much. And sorry that this is sounding like a resume, but then I really wanted to work internationally again and be, associated with disability work. So I found an organization in Grand Rapids that has hospitals in Africa and the Philippines, and they do surgeries for people in those countries that can't afford them. And that was a wonderful opportunity as well. However, they decided they wanted to not have remote workers and have everyone come work in Grand Rapids. And that was something I couldn't do. I have 3 boys and live up here, so that wasn't going to happen. So, anyway, I was kind of looking for my next thing, and I decided I was just going to go out on my own, be a consultant, and use my skills to help nonprofits. And I actually met a woman at the Petoskey High School who I hadn't seen in several years, and we were at a huge meeting it was a strings concert for the youth orchestra, and my kids play strings. So they were there and her kids were there, and there was probably 2,000 or 1,500 parents in the stands. And I happened to sit next to her, and she said, you need to talk to Bob. Do you know Bob Valla? And I said, yeah, I remember him. Why do I need to talk to him? And she said, he's starting a nonprofit. I'm sure he could use your help. And I said, okay, sure. I didn't really think anything would come of it, but about a week and a half later, I was introducing myself at an Ann's Nest board meeting in front of Bob Valla and Paul Matthews and the rest of the board. And they were asking me about my background and my work. And I started to see that all my work that I had done in disability and communications and nonprofits and communities, it was all coming together.
It was all coming together.
So that's how I got involved in what they were starting, which is called Ann's Nest.
Okay.
And that's what I'd love to talk about today.
We are going to get into that, but here's what I like to know.
All right.
I like to get down to what actually makes a person and how they're driven. So if we go back to your upbringing, growing up, you had siblings?
Yes, I had 2 younger sisters.
What are some of your best memories with them?
With my sisters?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we danced in our living room to Annie. We put on circuses in our backyard and invited the whole block. And we had costumes, and we had a ringleader, and we did routines, and we charged people 25 cents to come.
Oh, how cute.
And it was a blast. We were a very active family. My dad was a lawyer for a while and then a pastor. So we were very involved in church. We were always there, really engaged. My parents had amazing hospitality. And one of my earliest memories, which I think really impacted me and my sisters, because both of them have lived overseas as well. One of my sisters lives in Tanzania. She's lived in Africa for 14 years.
Is she there right now?
She's there right now with her 4 kids and her husband. Yep. And my parents lived in Albania for 10 years. But one of these core memories that I have was I was probably about 9 years old, and my parents, well, so my dad was in seminary in Jackson, Mississippi, and there were lots of international students there because there weren't online schools that people from other countries could take back then. They had to come to the U.S. to study. So there was a guy named Joshua, and he was from Kenya, and he was studying in the U.S., and he had 5 or 6 kids at home and his wife, and he was here in the States. And my parents had this thing where they would invite international students over for dinner, and they would let them call their family long distance on our phone. And that was a huge gift because that was expensive back then. And so I remember him showing us pictures of his family and the colors and the house and the food, and everything was so different. And then I remember leaning up against my parents' bedroom door when he was on the phone, and he was talking in Swahili.
You trying to listen?
And I was listening in, and I was just fascinated with the language and the inflection and the way that he was talking. And it really that was one of the first opportunities I had to be really engaged with another culture.
Yeah.
And then we also had Koreans over. Soong Young and Soong Yi were a couple that my parents knew, and they came over. And then my dad spoke German, and so he would teach us German songs in the car. Like, just we were driving around, we were singing
at top of your lungs.
And it was very musical, just a lot of singing and dancing and being silly as girls around the house, but a lot of fun, a lot of love. My parents were very, like I said, hospitable. We always had people in our home, and that hospitality is really, and just my parents really lived out their faith at a time when it could be really performative or legalistic. And I just saw them really love people.
Sounds like a beautiful home to
care about them. And so that really affected me. And I just wanted whatever I did to have a meaning. Like my worst idea of something I could do with my life would be just spend all my time marketing a product or writing communications for something that I didn't believe in. Like, even if it was cool.
So where does meaning come from?
Meaning? Oh my gosh, you're with the loaded questions today. Where does meaning come
we go
from?
deep, right? I said this is a wisdom and leadership.
All right.
So I'm going to try to squeeze all the wisdom out of you I can in the time that I have you here.
Okay. So where does meaning come from? Wow. I mean, there's a lot of places, right?
Let me just give you a little piece of what I was kind of leaning towards. It's in service to others. That's what you're saying. And that's kind of where I wanted to take this conversation is that's, if you don't want to just market a product, then you are telling me that you want to help other people, like to be others centered.
Right.
That's a challenge to design a life like that, because sometimes life gets so expensive, people are just focused on making money. Right. So for you to have that awareness as a young lady, it's a pretty profound awareness, right? Your parents wove that into who you are. This is what I wanted to get at.
Yeah.
So how did you see that? How did you develop that part of you?
It's really interesting because I do think that my parents were such a huge factor, because I saw my dad, he went to law school and he was a lawyer for 10 years and really on the country club track, right? He could have been a partner and done all the things, and we could have gone on great vacations. And instead he was like, I really feel like I should go into ministry and give all this up.
That's a strong calling.
And and that was after 10 years of being a lawyer. So he was in his 30s.
Sure.
And
he's making good money. He's smart.
Yeah, he was about to make partner.
Yep.
And he said, I'm just going to go study theology and learn and serve and teach. And that's what he did. And we kind of lived just a life of, well, if you want it, you need to pray for it. We didn't have a lot of extra money and things like that. We were very blessed. So I'm not saying by any means that we were poor. We were incredibly privileged and blessed and had an amazing family and people that served us. But also we just had a very stable upbringing. Like me and my sisters joke and we tell our parents, like, you did too good of a job. Like, we don't know how to handle,
We still love each other.
like we still love each other. And like now every Christmas is like a letdown because it's not as good as it was when we were growing up. Like just all the fun things that they did. We feel like we're trying to recreate those for our families. But the life of service is really because it's modeled, right? You see it carried out before you. And that's what I saw. And also just my own personal faith really impacted. Like I wanted my life to count. I wanted to do something worthwhile. And I think some people are just driven that way. Like just, I think everybody wants their life to have meaning.
Absolutely.
And purpose. And I think there's a feeling that sometimes you can't do both. You can't take care of your family well and have meaning and purpose. And I think, we have to keep trying. Right.
Sure. Well, sometimes it's a value system. And I've met thousands of people in my lives, and you start to see patterns. Start to see people whose values are in the right order and people who aren't. And then you see how that plays out, over time. Mom, what's one of your favorite memories of her?
My mom?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
She's going to listen to this.
I know. She's funny.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
She's funny.
She's funny.
She's a hoot, isn't she?
She is. I mean, she loves having people over. She
likes
loves
to entertain.
Serving. She likes to entertain. So we would always have kind of just different, whoever didn't have a place to go on Thanksgiving, they had a place to come to our house.
Yeah. Is she a good cook too?
Yeah, she was a great cook. And she loved setting a beautiful table. She was from the South. So she was always really big on hospitality and making everything beautiful. And she still is. One thing about my parents is everywhere they have gone and lived, they've built community. So my mom just, they just moved to a new town and she was like telling my dad, we just don't have any friends. We don't have any friends. At our old neighborhood, we had friends. And he said, well, Beverly, at our old neighborhood, you knocked on everyone's door and invited them all to brunch.
Let's do it again.
Maybe you should do that here. So they did. And at first, nobody came to the door. And then people are looking like, who are these weirdos? And then she said, I think we're going to have about 3 people there. And she had 15 people show up from the neighborhood. And they made all these plans and, things like that. So that's kind of what was modeled for me. And when I lived in Germany, I got together with another American and we hosted a Thanksgiving dinner for all the international students. And that was great fun. And then in India, they're a very hospitable culture as well. And for them, the guest is the priority. So if you stop by someone's house, they stop everything for you. I remember our driver over there, our organization had a driver and he was a young guy, probably 25, and his parents had passed away. He lived with his brother in like a 1-bedroom house or apartment. And he saved his money to have me and another person over from our office. And he bought us, I don't even drink soda, but I did that day because he bought us Fanta and Coke and Pepsi and all these snacks and everything. And we sat on milk crates in his living room with like newspaper on top of them. And he was so proud because we were coming to his house and he was like, it's such an honor to have you. And I feel like we've lost that a lot here, like having friends over and having guests and things like that. Everyone's so busy with our, work and kids' sports. And I fall into this category too, but like having hospitality and making connections with people, that's where you really, even right now, like you really start to understand who people are and what drives them.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about podcasting. It allows you to go another level deeper with people and really figure that stuff out. And then the people that listen to it love it. The feedback is just, it's so neat to learn about somebody and then learn what they're doing. Makes that connection.
Yes.
What's one of your favorite memories with Dad?
Dad. Well, singing those German songs in the front of the car, the old like sedan,
laughing
while we were
at the top
driving.
of your lungs.
driving all over the country with our car that would always break down in the middle of nowhere. And we'd be stuck in Kansas with.
That was just so you could meet more people.
We'd be stuck in Kansas walking to the car place to get it fixed. But no, I mean, one thing I really appreciate about my dad is I think because he was a lawyer and he studied theology, he didn't feel like he had to convince us of anything. He kind of let us argue and ask questions. So that discussion was part of our everyday life. And instead of him saying, well, this is the way it is, you just have to believe that, we would ask a question. Well, I mean, it might be, really about heaven and hell or about, good and evil or something. Like when you're a teenager, sometimes you struggle with those things. And he would,
as an adult, we struggle with these
sometimes,
things.
Sometimes, everyone struggles with these kind of questions.
Absolutely. These are amazing questions.
And so, we would ask him, and he would say, well, this belief says this, and this Bible verse says this, and I believe this, and this person thinks this. So what do you think about all that? And if we argued with him, he wasn't defensive or angry. He was just like, well, that's one way to look at it. Here's another book you could read about it. Why don't you look at this? So I don't feel like we ever felt like we had to be performative or, the questioning and doubting was not looked down on. We could think of things in an intellectual way and ask questions. And he might not even know that he did this, but somehow they did it, right. And they allowed us to be ourselves, to be funny, to be silly, to sing at the top of our lungs, to invite different people over, to engage with new things. When I was like, I think I was 16 and I said, I don't want to go on spring break with my friends. I want to go to Miami and help clean up for the Hurricane Andrew or something. And they were like, okay. They're like, well, you got to raise the money for it. And I was like, okay. So I raised the money for it, found a program, found a friend to go with me, and they sent me off. I mean, not many people do that with their 16-year-olds these days. Just like, okay, go do it. So things like that, where they really, my sister wanted to go to Costa Rica after high school instead of going straight to college. And they were like, yeah, find a place you can go do it. And so they allowed us to learn new things, try new experiences, and really have a great upbringing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anybody that's a parent listening to this is a really nice model of a way to raise your kids.
Yeah. And it's really hard for me, especially because now that my kids are getting to be teenagers, I have an opinion about everything that they want to do. And I think some of it's not very good. And so, so I find myself saying, okay, well, that's interesting, and trying to withhold judgment, and just kind of listen and let them say what they need to say and then say, okay, well, I really disagree. I think this, but you can do your own research and look into that. And I mean, of course I fail. It's not easy. I mean,
it's not a perfect science.
No. And yesterday my son got me going on something. I was like, that's ridiculous. I totally disagree with that. I think that is wrong. And he was like, you're really easy to rage bait, Mom.
Oh, how funny.
I was like, you're just trying to do this. Yes. It was about politics or something like that. And we have pretty different opinions right now. So that was funny, but.
That is good.
Yeah.
But at least you give them the chance to argue.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You still got that openness with them.
Yeah. I'm trying.
All right. So as we're moving through your life and thinking about all these different things, let's talk about the project you're doing here.
Great.
So you meet Bob, right?
Yes.
It's called Anne's Nest.
Yes.
Why is it named that?
So some of your listeners may know of the Crow's Nest, which is north of here in Cross Village. And Anne and Bob Valla have run the restaurant for at least 25 years. And Anne passed away tragically of cancer in January of 2024. And
bless her heart.
Bob and Anne, I never got to meet her, but everyone says she was just a wonderful, incredible woman. And Bob and Ann have 2 sons, and one of them has severe autism.
Mm-hmm.
And Ann had always said she wished that there was a community, a home, a place where people with intellectual and developmental disorders could live and have community and not be isolated and be connected. And that's what she wanted to build. And when she passed away, Bob said everything just became real to him because he was like, okay, it's not when I die. It's not if I die.
Yeah.
It's when I die. What's going to happen to my son? And that's the question that keeps thousands of parents, hundreds of thousands of parents awake every night right now in our country. What happens to my child when I'm gone? And their child might be 30 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. We have parents now in their 80s that are still taking care of their children with disabilities who are adults now, but they don't have all the skills necessary to live on their own. So their parents are thinking, what am I going to do? Their parents are their full-time caregivers. And there's not enough housing options in the U.S. to accommodate people with intellectual and developmental disabilities right now.
So what is the data for the 2 counties up here?
So the data has been very difficult to come by. And so I'll tell you that right now. We don't have the exact numbers. However, we know that there are multiple schools right now that have, children that are in them, the Taylor School, Charlevoix, and some of those people can be mainstreamed and some of them cannot. And whenever they graduate or leave school, which is officially at 26 in Michigan, there's nothing else for them. They have some activities through some other organizations, but they don't have a place to go every day, right? Some of them are able to get jobs, some of them are not. But so we have those people. Then we have the people that are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Many of those people don't live in our community anymore. Probably
because we don't have the resources.
Because we don't have the resources. Yep. They have to move downstate. They go to Flint, they go to Grand Rapids, they go to Detroit if there's a home available. If not, they're here in basements, in houses, alone, not connected, because a lot of the parents are still working. Our community is not set up to understand people with disabilities and how they integrate. We just don't.
Is it because we're not big enough?
Like that. It's still a problem in every major metropolitan area. It still is.
So you're just saying society in general is not set up.
Society in general.
Yep.
So Emmet and Charlevoix County and Sheboygan County, we have some resources for people with disabilities, but there's a lack of housing here anyway, right? For everybody. There's a lack of housing.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. So finding accessible homes and places where people with disabilities can live, work, play, worship, that's also a challenge. So I would say there's hundreds of people in our area that need a place to live and that will need a place to live.
So is this kind of like group housing? Is that how you would think about it?
So Ann's Nest has the board, which first of all, I want to get to the fact that Bob met with Paul Matthews, who's his good friend, who also has a son who's disabled and needs housing. And they both came together and built a board. And so through the last year and a half, they've come up with and looked at lots of different options in the US and in Michigan and have decided on creating group homes for now. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but what they've found from looking at these other examples is that if we have a small piece of property with several group homes on it, there's a benefit of people with disabilities having more friends and neighbors that also have disabilities, but also having other neighbors that don't have disabilities, right? So there's an opportunity for them to be integrated into the community, not be isolated. It's not like an institution. They're not being totally separated from the community, but there's other resources that we can offer in that space. So what we're first building it's called an adult foster care home. That's the licensing title of it. But essentially it's a family home with 6 bedrooms and 6 individuals. They'll all have their own bedroom and bathroom. And then there's a large living space, 2 large living spaces, a large kitchen, bathroom, staff room, and then there will be opportunity for the caregivers to live there to spend the night there as necessary and provide as much care as needed. So the idea is that when someone with a disability moves out of their family's home, their parents' home, they move into a home with roommates and friends, and they can stay there for life. They're not having to shift around. We're reducing the homelessness possibility. We're reducing having them being sent 3 or 4 hours away from their family and community so they can stay connected here. And we're providing a place that's healthy, safe, warm, dignified, and filled with love.
Right. That's quite a vision. But it's more than just an idea or vision, right? Like you guys are making some progress.
We are.
Yeah.
We've made incredible progress thanks to this generous community, which really is incredible. I mean, Charlevoix and Emmet County just have amazing people, and we are so blessed to have so many resources here because of people that are generous. And so over the past year and a half, we've raised over $500,000.
Wow.
And
good work.
We've found a plot of land that we're interested in right now. We have the site plan. We're bringing it before the Planning Commission for approval in Harbor Springs area. And hopefully we'll have that within the next month or so. And we have a donor that's come forward and said, I want to buy the property for you. So as soon as we get everything cleared and ready to go, we call him and he's going to give us the money to buy the property. And then we're off and running. So we have a long way to go. Let me tell you, our first phase is $5 million.
Okay.
So we want to build the roads, the site plan, the utilities, and our first home, 2 vehicles that will be accessible vehicles, sidewalks that are accessible, and then also a small activity center and offices on the campus so that we can have other people in with disabilities, or we can have family gatherings for the families of the residents, and we can have a small office there. And our hope is also that we could be a resource for other people that maybe they can't live at Ann's Nest. There's not space for them or they're not a good fit at the time, but we can help them find housing elsewhere in the community. Because right now, the path to find a place to live is very confusing. So parents that I've talked with in this area, they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know how to transition him out of our home. I don't know what money is available from the state. I don't know, can he live in an apartment? How do I get a caregiver? How much do I pay them? What is Medicaid going to help with this? Is someone else? And it's very confusing. I mean, imagine if you were 60 years old and you have a 35-year-old, one of your daughters, and you're thinking, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, what is she going to do? She's home alone in our house. And who's going to take care of her? It's frightening.
Sure.
And there's just not a lot of possibilities.
Right.
And I really believe that our community can do this, right? We can find solutions to these challenges.
Yeah, and that's a big challenge. But I definitely think you can get this done. So you're in the fundraising phase currently, still trying to get your capital campaign completely funded?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that'll take a couple years. But I believe now that we have architectural drawings for the houses. We're working on architectural drawings for the community center. We have the site plan. We're working on a landscaping plan, a lighting plan. You know, we're getting the budget. We're finding local partners. And I really believe that people are going to come forward to support it because it's a wonderful cause. And it's not just a cause, it's people's lives.
Goes back to the beginning of our conversation. It creates meaning.
It creates meaning. I think it provides security for people. I don't like the term charity because it feels like we're providing something sometimes to someone lesser than. And people with disabilities have so much to give. I mean, my kids are friends with some of the people that may be living in this place, and it's rewarding. It's a part of the human spectrum of people. And right now, a lot of people with disabilities are not integrated into our communities, and we're missing out. We're missing out from people with Down syndrome who maybe have a more happy outlook on life. We're missing out from some of the strengths that people with autism can bring with their immense, intelligence and just functional organization and resources. And we've kind of cut ourselves off from people who are different. And I think that we're missing something there
Right.
for our own community to be engaged in.
That makes me think you need to have like a huge open house when this thing gets kicked off. Right? Because, I mean, people need to be exposed to things to get comfortable with it. My parents did something similar when we were growing up. My mom had us volunteering at the therapeutic horseback riding place. So that's where we spent our time. So I spent a lot of time helping people with disabilities learn how to ride horses. And
that's great.
That was a place called Loveway. And the community just poured into that place. And I think we have, don't quote me on this, but I think there's a place up here, a horseback riding thing in Harbor Springs for disability.
There have been some, and there are some
currently going
therapeutic.
on. Yeah. What's the one on Quick Road? Do you remember?
I can't remember right now.
I know, I'm drawing a blank on it. It'll come to me. Isn't it Rising Hope?
Okay.
Yeah, Rising Hope's on Quick Road. So don't quote me, but I do think they have a therapeutic horseback riding program.
Yes.
Which if you're in Harbor, that would be a nice connection.
Well, that's the thing is we don't want to just duplicate services or create a place that has everything there. We just want to provide housing, and then we can utilize the services, and people can go out in the community and do the things they like to do. Or we're not trying to create an enclave that's just for people with disabilities to live. We're just trying to give them a place to live.
I think Courtney has one in Petoskey. I'm forgetting the name of her, but I think it's therapeutic horseback riding as well. So,
yeah, we've got a lot of connections to make, a lot to learn, a lot of people to talk with. There's a great future for this organization, I believe.
Okay, so you're doing the capital campaign. I don't want to think like this, but what if you don't hit your numbers? Like, how do you make sure this works? Like, this needs to work.
Right.
Like, this has to happen.
Right. It has to happen.
So what do you need to have that happen? Do you need more exposure? You need to get in front of people? What are you trying to do?
So, I mean, I was really concerned about this at the beginning. So a year and a half ago, I was like, I want to know if this is viable, if people are interested, and if we can do it. And if we had gone through the last year and raised $50,000, I would have been like, you guys, this is not, we got to scale it down. Right. But we've raised over 500,000.
$500,000.
And that's amazing.
That's a lot of money.
And we haven't even started telling people really about what we're doing. I mean, we haven't gotten in front of a lot of the people that I think will be interested. We've been planning behind the scenes, making some connections, but looking for property for a year, trying to find a place that we could go. We've looked at different models. We've built a database. We've done a lot of the foundational things to get us started. But I mean, I'm hopeful, and I think, the board is so determined. I asked them, I'm kind of the I say like the board, Paul Matthews, like he's the yes man. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And I'm like, Paul, we might not be able to do that in that timeline. He's like, no, we're gonna do it. It's gonna happen. And
Paul's great. And Paul connected us. So that's what's so fun.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out how. Let's make a plan. I'm a planner, so I want to know how we're making this happen. So I look at how much we need each month, how many people it's going to take to get there, who we're going to talk to, where we're going to get those meetings, what we're going to do. And I mean, right now, we really need some people to step up and say, I want to sponsor a home. I want to sponsor a road. I want to sponsor the activity center. Like people that are willing to give large gifts and be the lead. We've got someone who's ready to be the lead by purchasing the property.
That's a large gift.
It's a large gift. And then we're hoping that more people will step up. And the amazing thing about this is when you talk to people, you realize that I believe the number is like 1 in 5 families have someone in their family with an intellectual or developmental disability. It's not like it's rare. I mean, the more people you talk to, you're like, oh yeah, my cousin has Down syndrome, or oh yeah, my granddaughter has cerebral palsy or autism. And so it affects many, many people. And when we realize that, it's something that we can all be a part of helping to solve the challenge.
I know there's not a lot of buildings or properties available, but could you repurpose something as well, like a building?
We've looked into that, and I think that will be an option as we move forward. What the board is hoping is that we build 5 homes on the property that we've currently found, and we fill those up with 6 people each.
That's what I was going to say, 6 people in each house. Yep.
And then once that's full, then we start looking for other properties to buy in Petoskey, Harbor Springs, Charlevoix, and we make a home there. And we just repurpose them. But we like the idea of having a central location for our staff.
Kind of like a campus.
Kind of like a campus. Yep. It really is kind of just a residential community, but it's a central place, and then we can build out more as we go. So $5 million is the first phase. To build every home and set it all up is probably $1.5 to $2 million after that. So this is gonna take many years to complete, right? We're doing the site prep hopefully this summer. Next year, if we're able to raise $2 million to build our first home, we can start construction. So I think the amazing thing is, if you talk to, if you look at my budget, $2 million seems astronomical, like my personal budget, right? And for many of us here, it's like $2 million, like, oh my gosh, it'll take me a lifetime to make $2 million. And then there's some people that are like, yeah, I have $2 million and they can pay for that. And it's actually not, it's a big deal. It's
not uncommon.
It's not uncommon. Yep. Nobody parts with $1 million easily. I'm not saying that at all, because they've worked hard for it. And there's lots of people are very generous. There's other things they're giving to, right? There's other things they're involved in. There's other things that they have to take care of. So, it's not an expectation, but it's more that it's not insurmountable, right? It's
doable.
It's doable.
Yeah.
It is doable.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people that love to be involved with projects of this magnitude, right?
Right. So,
and it's deep. Helping these people is an incredible service to this community and to those families. So it definitely brings the meaning and the purpose and gets people connected to something much bigger than themselves.
So this is one thing that I'm actually speaking to a board this afternoon in Utah about fundraising, because their board is hesitant to ask people for money.
Your board?
No, a different board. Okay. So I do some consulting as well. So I'm speaking with another board. I don't do fundraising for any organization right now except Ann's Nest. Yep. But I do some consulting and I'm speaking about fundraising. And one of the things that's so amazing that people get wrong is that they think that it's a burden to ask someone for money, right? Well, I don't want to ask him. I don't feel awkward. I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. I don't want to, she already gives so much, or I would feel weird about that. And there's tons of research that shows that people who give, they have reasons to give, right? It makes you feel good to give. Yeah. Do you know how amazing it would feel to be like, I just built a house for someone with disabilities?
Yeah.
Like, to be able to say that, that's incredible. I mean, I get happy when I can write my $300 check for this project in India that I work with. I'm like, I love that I can do that, and people find joy, they find purpose, they find meaning in being able to contribute financially. Sure. Some people can't go work in India. Some people can't be a caregiver for someone with disabilities. And so if you can give financially, if you can give of your time, if you can give of your talents or your treasure, those are the 3 things in philanthropy that everyone talks about.
Grab this. You got your little thing over
Yeah,
there?
I've got it.
So in my midlife, my life is an acronym. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so life is the 4 ways to give back through our labor, influence, finances, or expertise. You basically walked right through those.
Right.
So that's what midlife is about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning to give back. And that was a mentor of mine has that in his book.
Okay.
So he was the one that kind of completed this pyramid and said, hey, these are the 4 ways to give back in service. And so if you've been blessed financially and built a huge business and have a good consciousness and love people, that might be something you could do.
Right.
I was thinking for your roads, maybe trying to get like a excavating company to sponsor those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that just makes sense. They have the equipment, they have the manpower, and then, they could maybe have like a sign when you come in.
Right.
Right. That this was one of their projects. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're open for anyone that wants to partner with us in whatever way, and just talking to them and seeing, how would you like to be involved? How would you like to make an impact? How would you like to make a difference? And finding a way to go forward together.
Speaking of impact, I think you wrote a grant to the Impact 100. Is that right?
Yes, we did.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So we're actually asking them to cover part of our site preparation costs that we'd like to get started on this summer. So it would be some of the excavating, dirt moving, road building, utilities, that kind of a thing.
And I think you have made it to the not final, but to the top 15.
We have.
Right. So they're kind of narrowing down these projects, and then they're going to select, because I was reading about, they're going to select 3 winners. And if I remember right, it's like 114,000.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I wish you great luck in
obtaining
that goal.
Thank you so much. And your organization is in there as well.
We are.
I hear.
Yeah. No, we're doing a really, really fun project with MANA.
Mm-hmm.
And we're creating curriculum for people that utilize the food bank here in town, and then trying to filter them into the community college to be able to receive more education. That's
fantastic.
So it'd be really fun if you and I are both standing on stage at the same time.
That'd be great.
After a podcast like this.
That'd be great. There's so many deserving organizations in our community.
There's a lot of good ones.
That's one of the things I love about this community is just the generosity and people working for good for their friends and neighbors.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that would help you, like connections, contacts? I'm going to put at the bottom of this podcast, I'll put a way to get in touch with Ann's Nest. Is there like a donation link? Is there an email if someone's like, man, this moves me, I really want to talk with Mary Grace about this? Yeah, our website is www.ansnest.org. And on that, there's a donate page. There's more information. Our email is info@ansnest.org. If you're a parent or a sibling of someone with a disability, please reach out to us. We don't have a waiting list, but we have an interest form for parents, and we are looking people for our first home to fill our first home. We have several. It will be a home of males, young adult males. It could be mid-aged males. We're not looking for a certain age limit, just over 18. And then we're going to try to fill that home with 6 residents that get along well together and see what happens. So if you're a parent, a family member, if you're interested in volunteering, if you feel like this is something you would like to participate in or give to, we'd love to meet with you personally. My email is marygrace@ansnest.org, and you can give online. You can check us out online. We're just grateful for anyone who wants to spread the word, spread the podcast, all of that. Yeah, we'll definitely get this podcast pushed out. It makes me think, I don't know if you guys do it, but Ann's Nest, the website, could be an amazing resource to answer the questions you said all the people have, right? And it's kind of like a community resource to say, hey, what do we do? How do we get in touch with Medicaid? Right. Yeah. And right now we're hoping that we'll be able to hire a person that, excuse me, I've been talking too much, that can help support families through that process. Yeah. And then are you thinking about caregivers? Do the caregivers have to be licensed? Do they have to be certified with the state? How deep does that go?
Right now, some of the residents that will live in our homes already have caregivers that are taking care of them at their homes.
So they would basically just kind of.
And the caregivers would move with them.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
So, and it just depends on the residents and what they need and what they require. And I mean, everyone has to go through a certain training to be able to do this type of work. But we're still working on all the licensing information and policies and things like that. So, we'll see how that all develops. And the landscape is changing all the time too. Funding is changing, budgets are changing, all of that. So we're trying to do kind of step by step what we can to learn.
Do you end up trying to build an endowment that could just perpetually fund this?
So traditionally with fundraising is you want to start with your capital campaign, build that, get that first, and then go with kind of an operational budget that we're going to need. The great thing about Ann's Nest is once we build it, a lot of Medicaid funds and Social Security funds will pay for the operations of it. So we're not having to raise $5 million every year.
Yeah, right.
We will have to raise a couple $100,000 every year to cover maintenance costs and other caregiving resources. But we want to keep our operations costs low. And then once that is covered, then you work towards an endowment. So I could see us working towards an endowment later. I mean, of course, if someone said we want to give you $50 million for an endowment, then we would say, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
But that's just not usually the trajectory that,
not the
that
first
it works.
thing that happens.
Right.
Right. But it could.
It could.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that Ann's Nest has a long future. Our goal is to be here for 50 years while people live out their lives here.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's definitely a good
that's
vision.
what we're hoping for.
Well, I want to say thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
This was
been a pleasure.
It's a good conversation. This is a really, really big vision. So I'm going to thank Paul, send him a text for getting you and I connected. And then we'll definitely get this out so people can actually hear with what you're building, what you guys are doing over there.
Yeah. And you made me stop and think too about my parents, meaning and purpose. That's great.
But I think what people like to hear is how people get wired, right? Mm-hmm. And if we don't know that backstory, we just can't connect that deeply. And that's kind of what your parents did by bringing people in. You started to learn, you knew their names and
right.
You got used to the cultures. And so then traveling internationally wasn't weird, right? And traveling out of this country is a very good thing for people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Americans don't have that perspective. Yeah. So it's nice to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, we had faith, we had family, and we had fun. And
speaking of faith, I got a little present for you. So this is a little ministry that one of my patients does.
Okay.
And you're going to like this. Can I have you put your hand flat? There you go. Okay. You can open up. So that is actually olive wood from Israel.
Nice.
Yep.
Very neat. And it's like a cross shape.
It is a cross shape.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's designed to be carried in your pocket. And then if you come across somebody that is in need, you can hand it to them.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And if you need it, you keep it. And I'll get you a second one if you want to give it away.
All right.
All righty.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Well, thank you for joining me. We're going to sign off here. Hope you guys had a great time listening to this. If you want to find me, you can find me at the web at purposemaker.com. And then below this, we'll get all the stuff for Ann's Nest and Mary Grace here. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.